There we go, we're live now. So, well, anything specific you're looking at today?
Look,
Anything you like?
I haven't had a great look. I'll show you this trade from yesterday that we took in the show.
Yeah,
Um,
let's have a look.
Not sure how I do that now.
Well, I can see your screen.
Can you?
Oh, well, I did have it. Yeah, I just gave it to you, and it was working.
Okay. Right.
That's
So
it.
screen now. Yeah. So it was euro yen, and you probably recall that I did say at the time I really don't want to talk about this trade because it was a little bit cheeky because I was entering the market.
Yes, I do remember. Yeah.
I was entering the market here at a bad level. But I did say at the time, and we got into this move, and of course the target was the weekly pivot, so it was pretty much a perfect, well, I'll call it a scalp, and that's what it was pretty much at the end of the day. But I did say when we left the show that there may be a better entry down here, and there was. This candle here
Oh, yeah.
was a far better entry than was this one, because you had all this room to where we did enter the market to take profit,
Yeah.
and then you had the rest for nothing at the end of the day. So that was
Yeah.
the trade. I hope somebody who was in the show yesterday managed to grab all of that, but certainly I certainly hope you grabbed that part of it anyway.
Did
Um,
you grab? Did you grab it on that low there?
I grabbed it here at the break
You
of
grabbed
this.
it there
Yeah, no, I
because you
was.
put your order in the left.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the best entry right there. And you know, I was looking for exactly the same thing today on a few crosses early. I'll go to those. The Aussie was one. And in morning TTR this morning, I was mentioning this that we were down at the bottom of the range here. I was looking for a nice reversal bar to get into this move to trade it to the top of the range. That trade line's got to go, by the way. Let's get rid of that. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I suppose that it happened because somebody may have found their way into it on a smaller time frame. Obviously, I don't trade during Asia session. But that bar needed to be a smaller bar and just a little bit um, friendlier, if you like, than what it was. Let me have a look on the hourly chart. There may well have been a way in there. Oh, yeah, absolutely there was. Off that nice tweezer bottom this morning. Sorry, overnight. No, it would have been tough on the hourly chart.
That's yeah. Do you know what? It's a lovely little inverted head and shoulders there actually, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. Well, yeah. I mean, that only that left shoulder, isn't it? The left shoulder is about the only thing providing a level that would suggest that that's a nice turning area. But aside from that, what chart's that?
That will be a 30-minute chart.
On which currency?
Aussie US dollar.
Aussie dollar. Okay.
So yeah, we were looking for this morning, but way too late for me now, of course, and also
Oh, I tell you what.
to trade it. Beautiful tweezer bottom sitting there that made the inverted head and shoulders. But you know, when you say that's the only thing that suggests that's a level, there's a few things here that suggest that's a level for me, and
That's right. Actually, I'm looking at the longer term time frames now.
yeah, not least of which is the fact that we were in a range, false break, top to bottom, bottom to top. It's just the same old thing. As soon as we go into,
Yeah.
you know, it's very much a case of follow your nose, and
Yeah.
I'll be looking to do exactly the same. If we get the top
And
line,
also, if you look at the daily chart,
yep, off that big hammer.
that's yeah. Well, it's just that there is a point of support there, isn't there? You know, that's October, the start of October. So really, that the October's really been supported. That price has been supported for throughout October. So that's the other thing too.
Yeah, look, this is a pretty clean signal actually, and
Yeah.
I spoke about this yesterday and this morning, where we had that big bullish engulfing bar. You know,
Yeah.
that's the warning sign that something's about to happen, and that we
Yeah.
come and get this big hammer sitting there as well. It's the same thing. I said yesterday I would love to have traded that candle, but it's just way too big to trade because you're trading straight into this resistance area. It's too tough to find an entry, and what we were looking for was the retracement and the bounce off the bottom of this range. And look what happened. But just no way in for me there, unless you're prepared to take that candle there as a bullish engulfing bar. And I guess there's no reason, apart from the fact that you're trading straight into resistance, that isn't a genuine trade there, to be fair. But I wouldn't take it because of that reason. Trading straight into resistance in a market that's trending in the direction that the resistance is holding, no, it's too dangerous. So you've got to have a candle better than that, and that's what I said this morning. But sometimes it just doesn't work that way. Aussie Kiwi was another looking for, and same here, exactly the same scenario. You've got this is a pretty crazy chart actually if you have a look at it, but there is a double bottom sitting here. I'm probably looking for a deeper retracement, and that's what I said on Aussie Kiwi this morning. I want to see this right shoulder form, if you like, if you consider that to be an inverted head and shoulder, similar to what we've just seen on the Aussie, but a little bit skew if. So I wanted to see this hit this area here, and then look for reversal bar. We got the reversal bar in kind, I suppose. A lot of people would say that's not good enough. Certainly I wouldn't trade it for exactly the same reason, because we're trading straight into these pivots. And you can see what's happened there. We've hit the pivots and we've come straight back off them. I'm hoping this is a chance for this cross to go back to this level here. And if it does, it's there, I'll be looking for long. But that said, if we come back into this range, it would be tempting to look to trade at the top of the range as well, but not through this resistance area.
Yeah.
I think I was looking at this morning, those two Aussie pairs.
Do you know that the thing I find really difficult about the Aussie pair, and I will bring my chart up just to illustrate it easier.
Yep.
Is this? What's going on there? Give me a minute. Yeah, the thing I find difficult with is the daily, because this looks like it could well be
Aussie dollar.
Oh, sorry, no, the Kiwi. Aussie Kiwi. This is my big problem with it. I mean, this is a little bit longer than longer than this left shoulder. But if that is a head and shoulders and we've just started to break down, then I don't know if we've done the measured move on that. Let me just check. We're somewhere around there. No, it looks like it's got. See, that looks to me like it's going to test somewhere around about this level again.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along here. And it did break down. So I'm looking at this Aussie Kiwi. I mean, I'm not too up to speed with it, but kind of I think I did trade it once before. But I was looking at it yesterday while it was trending to the upside. I was thinking, you know what, this is really a short opportunity, but it's very, very difficult to get in short, because it just started to fly to the downside rather than giving a nice lower high. We've got now, but it's a little bit low as a lower high goes, to try and trade that. But I was looking at this and thinking, well, really, this is the structure of this on the daily chart seems to me like it's broken down, and looks to me off of least resistance is probably to the downside. So that upward channel being broken down would always suggest to me that there is some downside to come. But I don't know what this upward channel. See whether it is a channel or whether it's maybe it's a rising wedge, and which is bearish too. And the rising wedge measured move hasn't really played out either. So if I was looking at this, and I wouldn't want to trade it short here, don't get me wrong, because I think if I was going to look in this area, then I'd be probably with you on a short-term basis and wants it to rise. And it looks to me like we probably have an area that probably would spring forward a little bit from here. But I think the ultimate direction for Aussie Kiwi, from what the chart is saying at this stage, is probably down rather than up.
Yeah, it's certainly broken the recent range on even the weekly chart's broken the recent range and retested.
Yeah.
The interesting part for me, I suppose, is if you have a look at the daily
I've passed it right back to you, mate.
Okay. If you have a look at the daily chart, which I'm not, I'm on the weekly chart, just trying to get a little bit of perspective, if you like. The daily chart to me is very, very interesting. This is a rare occurrence. It's a rare sight. I don't often see that. You guys call it, well, not you guys, the ATW people call it a train track reversal. But
Is that aren't they both
reversal.
green?
Sorry, they're both
They're
green.
both green.
That's
You
right.
see that is a belt hold. The way that I would name that, I would call that a belt hold.
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, and that's very, very bullish. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even notice that.
That's what I
Yeah.
noticed this morning or yesterday, and I thought that was a very peculiar and gap
Yeah.
rally, gap rally. It's just
Yeah.
weird price. So how that even worked, I don't know. What drove that to occur? Once we had a breakdown, retest at the bottom of the range and trade line and trend line, if you like, then it started to take off for all money. You're thinking, probably this level down here, up till the weekend. Something's happened over the weekend, clearly, and we've gapped down, closed the gap instantly. Same thing happened the next day. That was last week, of course. And yeah, to me, it was a very, very bullish sign. I've actually got an order on place on this on the daily chart trading above this bar here. Looking for the top of the range again, at least. So that's I'm not sure why that's not showing on this chart. It was actually placed it on this account. I think I placed it on this account. I'll place it again just so we can see. I did fiddle with this a bit. It was a buy on a shift of one. Then I went back and played with it. And TP1 was 15. I was happy with that because I think it's at a pretty cool level to take profit. Not much profit.
This is a half-hour chart, right?
No, it's a daily chart.
Oh, daily. Okay, so you're looking for the long above that red. Okay.
Yep. 1/4% off at 15 pips, and then stop loss stays where it is.
Okay, let me just check that. And how would you feel about the how do you 15 pips? So you're looking at 10 what's the take profit price?
I'll give it to you in a tick. Proportion of close. There's another 1/4. And what's moved to minus 40 pips there. Okay. Modify. Okay, the take profit level is 108.97.
108.97.
And
okay, yeah, cool. I see it. Yeah. I see. Okay, so you're not after a lot.
No.
Okay, cool.
I'll just leave a little bit go if it does take off. Just looking for that. Well, it'll probably be about 1-to-1 by the time you get to the top of the range, and that's okay.
So that's on the daily. Now, with that, then, what about that? Because I've got a trend line as well coming from the highs there back in. I've got a trend line coming from the highs back in on the 10th of August, and then the 9th of October.
Through there?
Yes.
Yeah, big confluence there at the monthly pivot, and that's where we'll take.
Yeah.
Second profit level is there, just before there actually.
I tell you what, as well, mate. I mean, what a great place to look for a short.
There would be, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, the confluence area there as well is a fantastic area, seemingly to be looking for the short.
Agreed, 100%. And if it looks like turning there, then we might even think about closing the rest of the order. But we'll give it a chance.
Mind you, in saying that monthly pivot's going to move, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only got 2 days to go. But if it gets up there, We could get up there today. Who knows? All things are possible.
All things are possible. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's the Aussie.
That's Aussie Kiwi.
Aussie
Euro.
Kiwi.
You know what? I want to steer completely clear of the euro, and I don't often say that because I cannot see anything here that entices me to trade at the moment. If this low gets taken out, I'm on the 4 hourly chart, by the way. I'll go a little bit tighter. If this low gets taken out of this, what it amounts to a doji bar, really,
Hmm.
and you can see the market straddled the daily pivot, opened and closed on the daily pivot pretty much, and went pretty much equidistant either side. That's telling me everything I need to know right now, and
Mm.
that is that the market's got no idea. But I go back to this bar, which is a clear bullish engulfing candle. So I'd like to see this low taken out, but not this low. I wish we had a pen on this control panel, it'd be really good, but we haven't. So this bar here is interesting, and if we were maybe to come to DS1, so in this area here, and I see any sign of a reversal bar here, I'm going to jump on that, and here's the obvious target. Top of this descending channel, weekly pivot, confluence area,
Yeah.
form my support over here and here and here. So to me, that's the trade if it does set up. I don't think I want to trade it until that happens. We do have a resistance line coming through here as well. So I can actually grab hold of it. Goodness me. There we go. So I've got a resistance line coming through either here or here, depending on where you want to put it. I'll put it there. And that's bang on where we are at the moment. When I look at this candle, it's going to do probably two things for me. How long have we got? An hour and a bit before this closes. I really want to see that low taken out. And
Yeah.
if it is, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to place an order above this candle straight away. And then I'm going to wait for a reversal bar here and place a second order if I get it in the next 4 hour candle or even any subsequent 4 hour candle. But I will place an order straight away if this candle closes lower or even pierces that and gets below it. That will do.
And you look for the long there, right?
Yeah, it'll be exactly the same as what I'm trading on Aussie Kiwis. Pretty much the same.
Mm.
I mean, they're always the same. These orders are always the same. So yeah, this is the most dominant feature that I see at the moment. But I see a whole lot of junk in the middle and surrounding it. To be fair, and really, as I said before, I'm not interested at all until this doji bar gets cleared in one shape or form. Even if this closes now and doesn't take out this low, I don't want to trade it because we're getting inside bar after inside bar here, and this is still the dominant range, if you like, certainly in the last 2 days. And I don't want to trade. I don't want to trade outside. That's what I wanted to see, something like that. That's pretty cool. That's got an hour or so to go. So
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The euro, because again, the daily chart has got that low that we are just about to kind of like touch again. Well, looks things, back from August, and when we take that right back on the weekly, I mean, God, levels much better than I do on the euro, but that's a pretty hefty support level, isn't it?
yeah, 113.60 is the major level on the euro.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I'm not seeing it up on that chart, but that's my level. 113.60 has been forever and a day.
1360.
Where
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
34? We're not that far away from it, are we? I suppose. But
No,
yeah,
it looks like we're right on top of it, actually.
that's the long-term level, 113.60.
Yeah, so I can see because people have been saying to me about going long euro, and I can see why. This is a significant level here that could do with not being given up.
Yeah, look, we were hammering against 113.60 for about 2 years,
Yeah.
and where have I got that? I'll put it on 113.60 so you can see it.
Yeah, from the downside, you mean?
Yes, from the downside.
Yeah. Yeah. From the downside, and then we broke through at the start of last year, well, middle of last year, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can see we're just hammering the heck out of it once we broke through it,
Yeah.
and it became a level straight away. As soon as we broke through it, it
Yeah.
became, and from that day forward, for 2 years, we just could not get through there.
Yeah.
We did, but it just kept hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering. Finally, we broke through it, as you say, in June of last year, and thus far, it has held as support, and that's why you're hearing long euros at the moment, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also a very strong argument that we've got a head and shoulders sitting here, and this could go to the downside.
Yeah, it's really that. I mean, that pattern in itself is getting very, very complex, isn't it? The head and shoulders. It's just because of the length of time that right shoulder's taken to form, and how that right shoulder is slanting. And actual fact, I think the argument for me would be if that head and shoulders is in play, and I'm gonna show you my screen.
Sounds like Angus is stirred.
Angus agrees. Yeah, if that head and shoulders is in play, which is not the best area for head and shoulders, all the way down here really, but the way I see it is that if that's in play, I think we've potentially broken through, because the problem is with it otherwise is that it's just going to be getting too long, and this right shoulder is far outweighing the left a little bit, like that Kiwi, that Aussie Kiwi that we were looking at earlier on. There's definitely a level here, it's definitely a level of potential support. But I wonder whether the pattern we're looking at isn't actually a head and shoulders at all.
Yeah, indeed. But I still see that as a level, and I.
Yeah. I completely agree. I wonder whether we're looking at this as a pattern.
Sure, Megan.
Yeah, you see it here.
Yep.
Which is actually fairly bullish, and if that is the pattern, then who knows where it breaks, but it's sort of suggesting that if it can break through here, then we'll probably see these highs seen again, and then who knows. But I think on the medium term anyway, probably waiting for a clearer picture on the euro, because as you say, it's so difficult, and this is the way I kind of feel about the FTSE as well. Similar with the euro. The price action here is obviously bearish, but to my mind, even though the path of least resistance is down, because of the significance of levels that we are, the fact that we are, significantly oversold down here. I don't know what the daily chart's saying. It's not really saying it's oversold, but extremely oversold anyway. But it's in oversold territory down here, and same with the weekly. Nothing's really popping forward. I suppose the monthly's got a little bit of room to wind down, but it's the 4 hour looks like we might be seeing some divergence. But because we are so far down, I'd much prefer to look for the longs, because even though the trend is to the downside, the money to be made is probably to the upside. I think that the downside is going to become trickier and trickier, but we need to see some clear signs and signals, and that's probably going to be breaking through this trend line, and maybe even hitting these highs and coming back and giving us some sort of small reversal pattern on the daily chart here, just so we can start to move forward. But I'd be much more interested in longs with the euro, but it's just not really safe to do that right now. But I think that's where the money's probably going to lie with it.
Yeah, look, as I said, I'm ready to go long, but not until this doji bar is broken in whichever direction, because I still think that's the danger area. I still think that's a range that needs to be broken, and if it is a reversal bar that we're getting right now on the 4 hour chart, I start to get interested. Mate, do you need to do anything at the open? I've got to duck off for a few minutes very, very shortly.
Yeah, you go ahead, mate. We got some in the room. I can't see this end.
Yeah, there's a few people in. Yeah.
Okay, so well, in that case, let's talk about the FTSE 100 on the open. Now, you're not going to get the price I got. I got it all the way down here, and I was just very fortunate to be sat in front of my charts when this happened. I've moved my stops to break even, and we're well and truly on the way right now. It's about 100 and something pips up. So this is my target up here. I might lower it down a little bit, but this is my target up here. Um, Now, I did talk about this yesterday. I was talking about these levels yesterday to try and get in, and I did actually enter this market a couple of times on the way down. There was no way in yesterday. It was just upside, 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 upside. But what was really interesting about the upside, and there was an opportunity to short this at the highs. No guarantee it was going to come down here, but obviously I was waiting for the long, so I wasn't really prepared to short it. But the evidence was going to state that with so much bullish price action to the upside, the likelihood is that there was going to be profit taking at the highs, because the highs ultimately are these significant levels that appear on the daily chart. So there was always going to be bullish price action. Always going to be bearish price action after that. I didn't know how deep it was going to come in, and I was really trade this on its way down and seeing where it was going to hold. But I managed to get it pretty near the lows in the end. I was about around about 20 pips from the lows, and as I say, it's around about 140 pips up now from the lows. So I got about 120 pips out of it from a 20 pip trade. So this one's going really well. So the only thing for me to do here is look for these highs. I probably will take it out of the market at that point. I'm quite happy to take profit here, and then through. I think I will probably start for shorts in a different area, because really this is a shorting opportunity and not a long opportunity. What I'd really like to see for this to be a long opportunity is for us to come to this level. I'm just going to take this down. I'd like to see it come to this level, and then I'd like to see it fail, and I'd like to see it put in a reversal pattern. And that reversal pattern will be an inverted head and shoulders. So that's what I'd look for. And if I can pick it up again down here, then I will do. But right now I'm quite happy to just take the profit. And as I say, I might just lower my profit expectations down a little bit. Yeah, might lower my profit expectations down just a shade, just a tad, as that continues to the upside. And see what happens. But I'm happy to just let it run right now with such a nice entry point. There's really not any reason for me to do anything but wait, because even if it comes down, I'd want it to hold here and then go forward. So I think we're going to see this price at some point. So that's going to be the idea. Now let's just check on the and I'll just show you the head and shoulders pattern. Now that's the left shoulder. Here's the head, and that would be the right shoulder there. So if that runs in the right time, it looks like around about the second week of November. So I'm looking for this to push into the end of the month. Now, the only thing is with this that makes me question whether I definitely want to come out. Actually, I probably would want to cut now. That's a good level. Yeah, that's a good level to come out at. You can see when we look on the monthly chart, it's even more evident here what we have. So I think taking it to this point would be pretty sensible. These are FTSE futures, by the way, not the UK cash, UK 100, because I won't have to pay if I hold this over. I have to hold this overnight. I don't have to pay twice. So that's the FTSE. Now I am going to try and bring up questions or comments. So let me see if I can do that. Not sure if I can or not. Let me see what the show is called. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can watch what you guys are watching. Let's see what the show is called. Right, if I can get to your questions, it'd be great, but I'm going to need to see. I'm going to need to see what it's called. Hold on. No. Oh, I see what. Let's do it a different way. Okay, right. I am now able to see what you guys can see. So, right. Let's mute that. Now, if you guys have got questions, I can now answer them, I think. I can now answer them. So, if you got any specific charts that you want to look at, then I'm going to do a quick test on this. Yeah, I can see. Okay. Pedro, I can see that you're there, mate. So, oh no, that's all right. So if you have any charts you want to look through, let's look through them. We've discussed a few things today. Now, there is a trade that I quite like the look of, and it may have gone. I've found this to be a little bit tricky to get into, but it's this EuroCAD. The way that the EuroCAD looks to me is it looks to me like it's breaking down. Now, whether there's another opportunity or a better opportunity on this, I don't know. But what we have is I need the ray on these trend lines because it snaps into place for me, and I much prefer it. There we go. So that looks to me like the area that we're breaking down here. That's the 4 hour. So trying to get an entry on this is obviously going to come from the hourly, and it looks like we've just broken down the hourly now. Now because we're going to have to check some pivots on this because it was the pivots that did me yesterday. Right, let's just check this on a 15 as well and see what might happen here. It looks like this could come into this area. So the idea here would be to short this at somewhere around about 14905, somewhere in that area. So if this starts to push forward, to look for signs and signals of reversal in the 1905 area, and then aim low down here. Look for these lows here. Now let's see what the chart pattern is. Yeah, so that's a rising wedge as well within this pattern here. So if the rising wedge does break and hold here, that does drag us down here. So That's what I'd look for. I think that there's room for the Euro CAD to come short, and I think the short is probably going to lead us down to one spot 47.96. So that is a potential shorting opportunity. Jeff and I discussed the Aussie Kiwi earlier as well, and the Aussie Kiwi is another potential short. And this one could be more significant because this I would have had as a head and shoulders pan, if it had stopped somewhere around here, because of how long this has gone on far too long. With these patterns, we want them to be equal in length, left shoulder and right shoulder. We want them to be fairly equal, but this just went on far too long to kind of continue looking at that as a head and shoulders pattern. So this one also looks like it's broken to the downside. Certainly this trend line is pretty solid. Now this is on a daily chart. And yesterday I was looking for opportunities to short this one. And it was very difficult because when I looked on the 4 hour, at this stage, there's been no retracement. It's just been down, 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 and no retracement. So, both Jeff and I were discussing the fact that that this may well retrace, and if this is to retrace, then there's a chance that there's some trades here. There's some trades to the downside. So, I think looking at Aussie Kiwi short, and I think looking at Euro CAD short would be two that would be my preference. Now, I will continue to look through very, very quickly. Contrary the pound, the dollar yen will probably continue to push the upside as well, because we seem to be in a risk-off environment currently, with people buying up again. Euro Swiss. Now I look at the euro. Jeff managed to get some euro yen yesterday. Now I look at the euro generally as a bit of a weak currency right now. I'm looking for these the euro to be breaking down, and I think I like this euro Swissy for some downside. Let's see what this states. You see, that's right on top of these levels here. That has not broken with any kind of confidence, and because of the lack of confidence, I think that there's some further downside to come in here. But I would probably want to see this one break through that level. It hasn't really broken with any significance, but we are right on top of some specific levels here. Now, let me just check this and see what the setup suggests. Yeah, well, there is actually a setup for some downside. You know what's really going to what's going to be very, very clear with this one, and this one's going to be really good. I'm just going to check something else. So we're looking at Euro CAD short, we're looking at Euro Swiss short, we're looking at Aussie Kiwi short. The tricky thing with this one is going to be the pivots. There is a pivot near, but not on the low. So I think the idea would be have a look at this bar and see what that bar states, because if that bar is going to state some downside, if the bar closes at the lows here, giving us it's not going to be a shooting star, and it's not going to be a reversal bar because of where it is. Just back to the candlesticks, this would not be a reversal bar because where it sits, it's not at the top end of a trend. If we look at a 15-minute bar, it's a little bit different, because the 15-minute has come down and the structure of the 15-minute chart is here. So if this was to end on the lows in the 15, it would qualify it on a 15-minute as a shooting star, but not on the hourly. So we probably would want to see the hourly put in something of a spinning top, or something that looked a little bit weak. Certainly looking weak against the structure of the trend to the upside. Bounce, 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 and the structure kind of has been broken down. And as I say, not that significant, but it has been broken down. Little engulfing, sorry, not engulfing, but a little piercing pattern here, right on top of this level of support is what's going to put pay to it a little bit. So we've got to be very careful here. And really, the safest time to trade this, and this may well be a slingshot. I don't know. I'll have to ask Jeff when he's available later. But this might be a slingshot. But because the safest way to trade this would be actually to, let me just take these again. The safest way to trade it would be at the low there. This point, putting an order in at the low, because for a piercing pattern to break down, for a bullish pattern to break down, it becomes very bearish, and we've got this potential level here as well. So if anybody's interested in attempting to trade this, I think that the way that that I would look to trade it would be try and sell it around about 1.13883. Now, when we go back to the longer term time frames, that is a negligible price to try and get in at. You know, that's effectively going to be a breakdown of the day. Let me just double check that. Yeah. So the idea would be to try and get in on the low of the day, and I really like this trade. You know, I think this would be a really good trade to try and take. And as I say, I'm going to speak to Jeff in a little while and see how he feels about this as a potential slingshot. But that would be a decent area and a decent, safe looking trade. Now let's talk about targets on this one as well. Targets and stops on this. All right, let me just double check it. Now this, I think the first target might well have to be fairly shallow. It looks to me like the first target is going to be around about 1.1364. So there's the target, and you want stops at the high of the day. It's going to work out better than 1-to-1, but that's marginally better, isn't it? The other thing about that low, 186. The other thing about trying to enter a trade around here, and it might need to be a shade lower under the daily pivot. Now the monthly pivot actually is pretty good. Now the monthly pivot is obviously going to change in a couple of days. So one spot 13298. 3. Yeah. 132. Well, the monthly pivot is a long way down. The way that I would play it, I mean, I think it's okay. Because I think profit will have to be taken fairly early. You know, it's going to be around about a 1-to-1 or slightly better. But I think this is okay, because if this is to break down and profit can be taken here, then I think the longer term potential trade is could be quite deep. You know, I think that we're then looking for something a lot more significant. I think we're looking for probably this area would be another safe area to look for. So at that point for the second half, $25's up, around about 75 down. So there's going to be around about a 3-to-1 plus the half there. So 3-to-1 is 1.5. Two. It's a 2-to-1 trade getting us down there, which is all right. So Euro Swiss short, Euro CAD short. What else do we have? I'm just going to check my FTSE just to make sure it's not running into an area that I can't achieve. I'm looking for about another 50 pips on the FTSE. We'll see. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Right, nothing on the dollar Swiss. Euro. Now the euro is also very interesting. Another one we've been talking about. Now the euro we want to wait for. There's nothing to do with the euro right now, because the thing with the euro is that there is significant levels here. Jeff and I were talking about it, and he's much more adept at knowing the significant level, because it's a little bit scruffy, isn't it? All this, but and Jeff's much better at knowing the significant level. He was talking about the area that bashed his head, and it's something like 1.30, 1.3, or something like that. So it's pretty much where we are, you know. So if we go back, that's a monthly chart. And if we look at this monthly chart on a shorter term time frame, we can see the significance probably a little bit clearer here. It's a little bit clearer, and it's a bit difficult to know exactly what the price is. As I say, I'd say it's probably around here. So we might even be through, but because it bounced at this low, let's call it at the low. So I've got 11373 ish. That's the kind of area. Now, what this suggests is this head and shoulders pattern we've discussed. This getting a little bit long in the tooth. It's in an okay area. You know, it's not amazing. Maybe it's the top of a trend. It's not that significant high, but the head and shoulders pattern here on the weekly, and that's a significant looking pattern. But because it's on the weekly, the breakdown could be long and slow and arduous. So we're not really too certain about what's going to happen here. So this is the first thing. The first thing that we need to note is that we're on a level of support, and I'd be much more interested in the longs here than the shorts, because even though the trend is to the downside, the path of least resistance is to the downside. Probably the money is to the upside. That's probably where the money lies if this can catch a bit. Yeah, you see that's broken right down there. Yeah, there's nothing there. So let's have a look at the pattern here. Just checking the FTSE. FTSE surging to the upside for us. This is looking good. Now I'm going to move my stops just my TP level just a little bit, just so it's not so high. I'm going to move it to this area here, because ultimately, you know, have to recognize the FTSE 100 is at a downtrend. So I'm going to move it to 70.53. So I've got about another 23 pips to go before I'm going to be closing this down, and I'm going to take it all. Now, you know, it's possible that somebody's in this trade. I did talk about these levels yesterday, and we did talk about where we could get in yesterday if this came back. And it's possible that somebody's also in this trade. And if you are in this trade, then leaving the trade run is fine. But let me tell you why I'm not going to do that. The reason I'm not going to let the trade run is that even though we are, towards the end of the month, and there's a little bit more room here to potentially go, and we could continue to push to the upside, even though that is the scenario for the FTSE. I think the likelihood, even then, is that we could get potentially the same price as this comes up. And comes back again. And then we could potentially get the same price. Because it's got to test this area really for me to be interested. Now, if it didn't test the area, then what I would be interested in doing is just allowing it to go, and then seeing if I can get a short on it, because that's what we really want on the FTSE. We're really after the short opportunity. We're not after the long, but this was way too attractive to try and take. To ignore, sorry. So that's the reason that I took the trade, where I did. So I just want to see if this can continue to run just a little bit higher, and if it runs that little bit higher, then I'm going to come out and just see what happens after that. But I'm not going to let it to see if it's going to explode to the upside, because I think I get the same price, and I think also I get confirmation that that the buyers are motivated. So,
Looking good there, buddy.
what's that? Sorry, mate.
I say you're looking good there.
It's looking great, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, how often do these come about? Very, very rarely. Do I get the opportunity to trade a pattern from the low end to the high end? But yeah, it's looking really good.
That's kind of my territory.
Do you know what? And I was thinking about you. Oh, actually, talking of your territory, I've got questions to ask you. So, Euro Swiss. Now, I know you don't trade this. This is all about patterns.
The killer.
Was it Euro Swiss? Was it Euro Swiss? It was Euro Swiss, Euro CAD. I think it was Euro Swiss. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was Euro Swiss. Now, I don't know whether this is negated now. I like Euro Swiss for some downside. So what I'm looking at is a breakdown. So this is really a question about entry. So I like it for downside. I'm looking at for this to be breaking down. I am looking at my hourly chart, and my question is, when I look at that, would this area here, while it's kind of like giving you this area of support. Now there's a pivot down here as well. With this area of support and this piercing pattern going in red bar, would this be a good area to put in an order to the downside?
Just having a look at it now on my own chart, and mate, it's risky, but it is a decent setup. Let me see.
Oh, let me pass you the screen just so I can see your analysis on it.
Okay.
All right, you have it, I think. Yeah. You should have the screen, but I'm not seeing your screen. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it should be there now. Okay, the only issue with this is that level. Now, what we have to determine is that level strong, and I don't know that it is, to be fair. So hang on a little bit. It's a kind of a fiddly level, isn't it? It's not a level that's moved the market terribly. It's kind of a consolidation area. You can see that there's two levels of support there through it, but really it's consolidation that's going on there. I'm not that fearful of it, and let me just go back and have a quick squeeze out a bigger time frame. You quite like it, mate. I like the fact that we're sitting on that weekly pivot more than anything. What I would like to see, of course, is a reversal bar of some kind. Am I seeing that? No. But two things to consider here, and one is, let me take you back to this particular scenario where we've got break of a level and a break back of a level. That's Aussie Kiwi, but it bears very, very same sort of thing. Break of a level, retest of a level. That's what you're saying, back test of a level. The weekly pivot here is absolutely key to this, and I think there's an order there already. It's not the best entry, it's not the best price you're going to get, but I think there's an entry underneath this bar here. Profit before the daily pivot, and let the rest run.
Okay. Okay, so you'd be looking at the same thing, entry under the same bar as I was saying, but you would actually look to take profit a lot earlier.
Yes, and I'll show it to you another way. What I'm seeing here, I've never ever analysed this chart in my entire life, but I'm definitely seeing this as well. Where we've broken through here, we've consolidated, we've come back underneath that level, and we've retested that from the bottom as well. So there is a confluence area here, and that looks very much like a false break of a trend line to me. So that's why I'm saying there is an entry here already. It's a late entry, but I think it's a safe entry in the terms of if you were to enter here, for instance, on the close of this bar, I think that's a very dangerous entry. The fact that we've gone through here and retested it for mine is a sign that the bears are taking control, and if we're right here, they won't let price go back above this level or this level here, because there'll be sellers here.
Yeah.
If we're wrong, then these sellers aren't serious, and the bulls will take over. But if we're right, this will reject this level again, and it'll have a crack at the daily pivot, in my opinion. Almost, there's no such thing as certainly, but I do like the fact that we've broken the trend line, we've retested it.
Yep.
We've got a false break of the resistance trend line, and we've got resistance in the weekly pivot. So that's the key level for mine, definitely. And if it breaks, then I wouldn't worry about it because it's likely to go higher. But if it doesn't, then I think there's definitely a little bit of profit to take before the daily pivot, and then you'd be probably looking at an exit point around about here somewhere. Yesterday's daily pivot, maybe. If you fancy this as a longer term trade, then scale out there, scale out here, scale out there, and let the rest run.
That's where I was looking. Well, not the first way, obviously, because that's your specific profit taking strategy. But I was looking to see whether
I call it Chicken Little way.
Chicken Little money.
Yeah, Chicken Little money. It's kind of
it's the money that is highly concerning.
It's the old people's way of getting relaxed quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, and what? So when you take that profit there, then your stops get to break even.
Oh, it depends. If I want to trade it aggressively, and like yesterday I said on Euro Yen, and I could only see this happening. Frankly, if this broke, this was an aggressive trade to take. So what you then do is once it breaks and gets your first take profit, which is around about yesterday, I think it was around about the 6 pip mark or something like that. 6 or 7 pips. So in this vicinity, once you've got that first take profit, to me the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to go to there. So trade it aggressively and move your stop to entry, yes. But if there's some doubt, and that can come with a significant level that's in the way, then trade it more conservatively. And once you've got your first take profit, because you pick your first take profit level, and as soon as that happens, you move your stops, whatever that level is, to below your entry. So you're actually creating a free trade. So if you're taking profit there, for instance, you would move your stop at that point to about there.
Oh, I see.
So effectively giving yourself a no-lose situation.
Yeah.
That's effectively what that's doing. So is moving stocks to entry. But, pardon me, you're giving yourself a very strong chance here of making decent money on an aggressive trade with the conservative method, which is why it's called conservative. You're giving yourself far less reward because you're taking profit here and not here.
Yeah.
So that's the trade. That's the trade, and it's the trade-off all the time. You know, if you're trading high risk, you're after high reward. If you're trading low risk, you're going to get low reward. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But I've found, you know, over the years with this strategy, because we're only chasing, you know, this amount out of the market. That's it. We don't care what happens after that, because we see our restrictions, we see our resistance level, and once we've got 1-to-1, we're out. That's it. Doesn't matter what happens, and we look for another opportunity next time, because we're only interested in what the market's prepared to give us intraday, intra support and resistance levels, and that's exactly the way the strategy works.
Yeah, which is why it's so such a highly successful strategy for winning.
Yeah, in terms of the loss ratio, it's very high percentage. In terms of reward to risk, not so much.
Yeah. So it just depends on your particular stance, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You know, it depends on your risk appetite. It depends on, you know, where you want to get to. If you want a nice, slow, relaxed method of trading, and I did, and that's why I've chosen this one. You know, it took me probably 4 or 5 years to find this. You know, through a lot of different strategies, and once I recognised that I really only have to find the acceleration point, which is so evident here. Once you found that with this strategy, you only have to go a short distance to be absolutely stress-free, and that's
which is why it should be a really good news trading strategy. No.
The only problem with news is you don't know how much the broker's going to take from you. That's the problem with news trading.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a license at that point to take as much money off you as they can, or as they
because it relies on a small amount of pips. It means that you you could get taken into a trade on the spread.
Yeah, look, it's happened to me where I traded, and I didn't even know it was news time. You know, I was green and just probably maybe 12 months into the strategy, not even 12 months into the strategy, and I had an order. Let's say, I had an order where I had an order yesterday, and there was a news announcement, and before I knew it, I was taken into the trade 43 pips above my entry level. So what that meant was I had to make 43 pips before I was actually in a profit situation.
Yeah.
So naturally enough, the market starts to retrace once it's gone that far, that fast. So you're in negative, although you're 43 pips to the good.
Yeah.
That's tragic for your mind. It really messes up when that happens. And what you do then, when you come back to entry, is you're actually losing 43 pips. How sick is that? You know, you've got everything right, yet you're going to lose a truckload of money.
Yeah.
That is really not fun.
So does that mean that you tend not to trade it against news because of that very reason?
For that very reason, I've got a very long memory. I remind the elephants, don't forget. And I don't like the fact that the brokers got that money for free, and they really did. You know, they just took it out of my pocket, and that's very much a Robin Hood in reverse, as I call it. So yes, that's why I find that I'm happy to trade through news if I've got no risk in the market. But and it depends, of course, on the news announcement. It could be what I consider to be non-life-threatening news event, and at times I'm happy to actually ride my luck on that. But if it's a potentially trend-changing event, then no, I don't want to know about it.
Right.
Great to
Right.
trade and great to trade out of the news. But
Yeah.
very difficult to trade around on
Yeah.
this. Any intraday strategy is very tough because of that reason. The broker wants his pound of flesh and he takes it.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing I think was interesting about what you were just talking about, because actually, you said it took you 6 years, did you say, to find this strategy?
About 4.
About 4 years to find this strategy, and I think the interesting thing here is that if we can find strategies that suit our personality, we're going to be a lot more successful, because the understanding of the strategy is because really when it comes down to it, understanding the market is it's quite subjective, isn't it? Because it's how you understand your strategy dictates how you understand the market.
Without question. I wrote an article once that said you need 3 things. You need to trade successfully. I hope I can remember what they were. But one was...
This should be the quote of the day.
Well, it'll do because I haven't got one. Been just absolutely flat as a lizard, so I haven't been able to get to the bottom of the quote of the day. Number 1 was you need to have confidence in your strategy. There's absolutely no point trading any strategy unless you've got absolute confidence in the fact or in its ability to produce money, and that's every trade I'm talking about. Then you have to have ability. Sorry, you have to have confidence in your own ability, and by that I mean you have to have confidence in your ability to be disciplined enough to take the trade when the trade presents itself. So, in other words, you have to understand your own capabilities of reading the candles, recognizing the setup, and then taking it. That's number 2. And number 3,
and managing it correctly, right? Yeah, go on.
Well, that's the next part. At the end of the day,
oh, sorry.
You have to have the ability then to again go back to the trusting the strategy, but you have to then trust yourself to be able to manage that. And by that I mean you have to be able to trust that you won't get emotionally involved in what's going on in the candles. You have to be able to trust yourself to say that, okay, there was my exit point. I'm going to exit there, or I'm going to exit early. I'm definitely not going to chase it. And that's the way I've been, I think, able to hone myself into somebody who's in control of my own self. And all of those 3 things combined are absolutely tantamount to long-term success, in my humble opinion. If you haven't, you've got to have confidence in the strategy, and you've got to have confidence in yourself. If you've lost either of those 2 things, you need to go back to the drawing board until you get it back, or frankly, you need to find another career.
Yeah, because this is the problem, isn't it? It will eat you up if you don't approach the market with the right sort of frame of mind and in the right with the right mindset. It will certainly eat you up. Which and this is the thing about it, is that it doesn't mean that means you should give up straight away, because the market is a very, very difficult and steep learning curve, because you've got money on the line.
Don't know any trader, any successful trader, that hasn't had at least 3 or 4 accounts burnt, soul searched and had to go through the hard yards. It doesn't come easy. Anybody who does is a freak or is lying.
Well, and it's one of those things, isn't it, that you kind of the thing that you have to learn about trading is how to control yourself, not actually the charts or anything else, because the charts are actually pretty simple to read. There's obviously indicators that are, some people find easier than others, but there are strategies out there that actually are, they're good strategies, and they're nice, simple strategies. But the way that strategies get destroyed is by ourselves, and if we can get the control of that part, then that's the bit we got to learn. If we can learn that bit and we can learn it well and see that through, then we'll be successful. If we can't, then we're going to be unsuccessful, because it doesn't take much to go through a trading history to backtest certain things and go, oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. But the reason it won't work in future is that we trade it wrong. We don't trade it with a lack of emotion. And as you say, saying that's what I need to see here to get in, and that's what I need to do to get out. My take profit level and my entry and exit strategy are this.
Yeah, when I say it's not easy, that doesn't mean it's rocket science. It's not rocket science.
No.
Another one of my favorite sayings is another quote of the day. The longest distance between you and success is about, or depends on a couple of things, but the longest distance is generally around about 150 to 200 millimeters. That's the longest distance between you and success. And you know what that distance is?
No.
It's the distance between your ears.
Oh, really?
It's actually what lies between your ears, and not so much
yeah.
But it's the entire nervous system, if you like, that controls your emotions, and that's one of my favorite things. I'm not sure if I made that up. I think I heard that somewhere. Many
I like it.
Ago. But it's not a bad one. I think that's the distance between your ears that makes all the difference to you as not only a trader, but as a person and all the rest of things. It's very much I don't want to get into the psychology of life or anything, but it's very much a case in point. I haven't looked at too many charts, I've got to say.
So what we looking at, mate? Because the FTSE's easing off a little bit, so I'm just going to leave things as they are right now. I'm going to check out the hourly bar. I've got. Let me just show you what we got currently going on with the FTSE. Now, this is the FTSE cash, which I'm not trading. I'm trading the futures. But this is what we got going on currently with the FTSE cash, which will be the same. I mean, I'll show you the futures. Same thing. But I like to look at the FTSE cash because the FTSE cash is the daddy. The futures are going to be led by this. So. The FTSE cash is just attempting to put in some reversal signs here, which isn't that concerning. If this could actually start to plummet to the downside as we saw yesterday. But what I think I'd like to do is just see if we do get a reversal bar. If we ease back into the area, then maybe I'll start to shift a stop up or something and get it underneath, because the profit is far too good to give back. And as I say, we are in a downtrend ultimately here. But my other question of this is that what's going to be a driver to take this down? We're almost 50 minutes now of upside in the FTSE 100 this morning, and if we look right across the board, then Aussie, a pretty good end of day with the Aussie. The Chinese market was pretty good. We got to set that on the a little bit of weakness towards the end there, but let's have a look at the French. Yeah, it's just the French index is just kind of ticking along back and forth right now. So I don't think there's anything to do too early here. Same thing. It looks like the indices are just starting to put in some reversal work patterns here. But as I said, same with the euro. I feel the same about the FTSE. I think putting a short in at this stage wouldn't be the most sensible option. I'd like to leave things as they are with the FTSE and see if we can actually start to boost forward, because we need to see some upside. Now, the only thing that would change my mind is if we get through tomorrow. Now, if I take profit today, I'm not sure whether tomorrow is going to be a great day to try and trade. I'm not sure whether we're going to get anything too huge in the way of swings. So if we get through tomorrow, then I would probably start looking for the shorts on Thursday, or at least trades on Thursday, and what push all the way forward, or be stuck here and if it sticks here, then I can start to look for the short again, but not quite yet. But yeah, let's have a look at what you've got on, mate. Have you got anything that is a potential?
Yeah, look, it's interesting, but
I'm going to pass you the screen.
what we were looking for earlier was a few things, but let's start with the euro. Euro, we were looking for this low to be taken out, if you'll recall. Well, let me do it on the 30-minute chart. I'll be doing the 4-hour chart, actually, and then come back to these smaller time frames, because it'll give you a better indication as to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this bar here, this doji-looking bar, that, to me, is totally confusing the issue. And the reason it's confusing the issue is that I would love to have seen a higher low here and a reversal bar. That's not a reversal bar in any man's language, just straddling the daily, going either side. But this one is. And as I said before, if I see a reversal bar after this low's taken out, then that will be an entry for me. So currently, that is an entry for me with 8 minutes to go or 9 minutes to go in the candle.
Oh, it is it?
Yeah, it will be. I don't like it as much as I would have liked something a little less. What's the word? The word I'm looking for is obvious. And the reason I say that is because I'm a counterintuitive person. I'm not the only person on the planet that's going to see that candle, of course. So I don't like them to be so obvious that everyone just goes, "Oh, let's get in here." I like for some people to see it, but not for everyone to see it. I know that sounds weird, guys, because it just sounds weird. You want to go with momentum. I'm actually not like that. I'm a little bit different. I like to go with surprises, and this one's not going to be a surprise. But that said, it is exactly what we're looking for. So we look for a break of this bar, right, on the 4-hour chart, and although it's not perfect, what have we got it by? A couple of pips, maybe. Low is 113.60. There's that number, mate. 113.60. And
there you go. That was the number I was searching for earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And the low here is 113.57. So we've got a couple, 2.5 pips that's broken that level by. Now that level, as I said to you before, is a massive, massive level. Just take it from me. It's one that's locked into my brain cells and has been for the last maybe 4 years. And even before that, I can go back to 113.60 and show you, when I won't say it. I was going to say, religious bad. It's not the right thing to say, so I won't say. But this is a true reversal bar. There's no question, and it is a higher low on this bullish engulfing bar. It may not be the candle that I need, but it's going to have to do. So I don't think I'll get a second opportunity here. I think this will just go straight to this level if it is going to go. If it doesn't, then so be it. We are trading through resistance, of course. We're trading through the daily pivot, but our entry is well above it, so that's fine by me. If I won't place this until the candle closes, but I will be trading that bar. So the entry is going to be around about 113.90. Let's say 113.90, and the stop loss will be around about 113.55. Let's say. So it's around about a 25 pip candle, which is not that big on a 4-hour chart. Should I say 25? I meant 35. And I'll definitely take profit here. Let me put those lines on the chart for you. I want to be taking profit there. So the first take profit level will be around about 20 pips from entry, and I'll definitely want to be scaling out big time here, which is only another 10 pips ahead. I know another 15 pips ahead. So we'll be a plus 20 scale out, we'll be a plus 35 scale out. We'll leave just a tiny little bit, maybe a quarter of the risk on, to see if this can go to the top of the range, but I'm not expecting too much here, to be fair. I think this is a great place, as we said before, maybe to even find a short. I don't have any interest in cable. Euro yen is interesting because I want to see what the follow-up was from yesterday's trade. Hasn't done too much. It's broken the weekly pivot and retested it. That's interesting in and of itself. See how that looks on the 4 hour. Yeah, it doesn't look too good. In terms of tradability, it's at a level. It's at a resistance level, of course, and a decent one at that. So I don't think I want to be trading this long anytime soon. I'd like to see it pull back, maybe to the daily pivot. Maybe there's a trade even there on the 30-minute chart later on to the short side, but not that interested. Not that interested on pound yen. Aussie yen seems to have gone a bit too. So no, really, I'm back here, backing with the Aussie pairs, I think, mate.
Okay, mate. So the only thing that I would have at this point, obviously, we got the FTSE 100 that we're just going to leave alone right now. But the only thing that I would have is the Euro CAD, and the Euro CAD again is one that I would like to see break down. Whether it does, I don't know. Whether it will, I don't know. But it looks, the problem was that there wasn't an entry, but now let's just have a look at this this hourly. This could be quite interesting because really we did actually break down this level here, and we're just starting to get back into that range. Well, we are in the range. We are right back in the range there. So there is a possibility that that this one could go short here. Now the bars are pretty bullish. So to try and get the right entry on this one is going to be a little bit tricky until we start to look at the daily chart. So I think we probably will want to see, just because the strength of the move, I think that the area I wouldn't mind taking a trade is here. One spot 49.24. So if we can see signs and signals of reversal here, then I think we start to look for a trade to the downside. Obviously, stops are going to be quite important, and I think putting it at the highs of yesterday, because we're looking at longer term time frames here. That's going to be our potential trade there. Just 54. Euro CAD, yeah, and then trying to sort of like get it down to that point first, and then the low point second. So yeah, Euro would be the potential trade for me, I think.
Euro Swiss looks to have shot through, mate. The other one.
The which one, sorry?
Euro Swiss.
Yes, it has, hasn't it? Yeah, Euro Swiss has broken the high, which is interesting, isn't it? But I suppose that's one of those things that things like this don't matter when your entry was down here. But let's see if this holds, because we might just be getting a little bit of a rally for the euro, because when we kind of look across here, we've got a few little bits and pieces due out later, but we've had some news out for the euro today. So and the Swissy, actually, interestingly. Economic barometer was just a little bit of a miss at the start of trade for the Swissy, but Spanish PMI held firm at 2.3%. So we haven't had German employment just yet, or have we? That might have just been released, actually. German unemployment, not a huge number, I suppose. Maybe preliminary GDP, even though it's only a yellow figure, I think this could be quite significant because it's the Italian market. So we do have a little bit of data out, but maybe when this when all this data calms down, then we start to see things resume with the euro. I'm not sure, but let's see what happens after we get the full picture for the day, because I think technically speaking the euro does look like a short, but maybe the fundamentals just haven't really backed that up. So there's no major catalyst right now, but none of these are that significant. So if it pushes the euro in a direction, I think we need to make sure it's going to hold before we definitely continue to the upside. I think the fact that we've had Swissy news along with euro news that looks like it was fairly positive, and Swissy news negative would probably put this one out of reach anyway. So if we are going to be trading the euro short, I think it's going to be against the CAD.
Okay, happy days. I'm going to trade the euro long, and it'll be on the 4-hour chart. As I said before, we'll do that now. I'll just place it as a. If you're trading with a trade manager, you'll place it buy on a shift of 1. Let's have a look at that and see how it actually pans out.
Great.
So level. You've got my screen, yep. So the entry is, as I said, around about 113.88 level now, because I've got it 113.88. That is the entry. We'll burst through this resistance trade line, of course. Our first take profit is at 15 pips. I think that's probably pertinent. Don't have a problem with that. That's right in R1, so that's good. We'll remove 55% of the order at that point. Now you can see where TP2 is, and I'm going to pinch that back. It's too adventurous. We need to get that back below the weekly pivot. So I'm going to take 5 pips off that. So let's modify TP2. And at TP2 we've got 45 pips. We'll call that 40 pips. Back a bit. And it'd be good if I didn't have those candles there. Proportionally close. We're going to close half of the position there. We've already taken a quarter off. Or have we? No, I'll go. I'm going to take half off at TP2, having taken a quarter off at TP1, and I haven't done that. I've actually 0.55 at TP1. I'm going to make that 0.25 at TP1. So TP1 at 15 pips. I'm going to take a quarter of the stake off at that point. I'm going to move my stops to 15 below entry, which means we're free trading at that point. And at TP2, which is 40 pips, I'm going to take half of the position off. Means I've got 3/4 of it off when we hit the weekly pivot, or just before we hit the weekly pivot. Okay, so that to me is sensible. And we might even remove. No, the target's in a pretty good spot. We'll just leave a quarter of the position open till that target at around about 120 pips. So the risk is 31. We've got our TP2 in place. Yes, we have. That's bang on the money right there. So that's all good. That's euro dollar 84 charts long at
Great.
0.1388.
Great, nice one, buddy. Great, we'll love it. Okay, well, let's see how we get on with our trades. We'll be back obviously in the morning, so an hour and a half before now, so that'll be 7:30 UK time, and that will be what does that make it? 3:30 Singapore to go back with the clocks. All right, mate. Well, I will bid you bon bouche, and everybody else. I'll bid you also bon bouche. Have a great afternoon, and I'll speak to you tomorrow, buddy.
Happy days, mate.
Okay. Happy
Cheers,
trading,
mate.
gang.